evening, everybody. Welcome again to our webinar tonight called Winning Webinars. And we've prepared this for you to help you and equip you with the right tools and the right tips that can hopefully help you manage your meetings, your virtual meetings, training, or any form of video calls that you need to make during the pandemic, especially if it relates to your business. A lot of people these days are struggling transitioning from face-to-face meetings or face-to-face presentations to webinars because obviously it's a totally different ballgame. During webinars, you're sat on your desk with a computer or a cell phone in front of you. You don't have anybody in front of you except your family, of course, if you're working from home. And also, there are certain things there that you cannot do anymore. For example, chit chatting. You know, sometimes when you're having meetings face to face, it's easy to chit chat, right? So, what I'm going to be talking about initially would be how to project your best self during a webinar. And it's going to be very easy for you to run a good webinar if you know first how to handle yourself. So let's start off by talking about your image. We have to remember that when we're conducting webinars, we all have to look professional. I know you are at home, but it does not mean that you have to look like you're at home when you're conducting a webinar. You have to look very professional, especially if you're talking to your clients, talking to your team, talking to your boss, or even talking to your suppliers. If you are like us who are conducting training, it's so important that you project a very professional image and that this image actually represents you. You don't have to pretend that you're somebody else, or you don't have to pretend that you are very stiff. Although sometimes we have that tendency because we are nervous or we're probably not prepared. And that's why you always have to remind yourself, I need to look myself. I need to be the best version of myself. And it has to be me. It has to be Tinette. It couldn't be someone else, right? Another thing is that your image should be aligned to your organization's image and values. If your organization values professionalism, competence, passion, then you have to present yourself passionately on camera. You can't be stiff there speaking like a robot. Even if you are talking to, let's say, your laptop, right? You're facing your laptop, then it is still very important for you to speak as if you are in front of a person or a group of people. Okay? Also, it's very important to remember that your way of conducting your webinar should be appropriate to your target audience. If you are speaking to a group of businessmen, then of course you have to carry yourself in a business-like manner. If you're speaking to a group of students, let's say you're a teacher or you're a professor and you're speaking to a group of teenagers, then you have to be a little bit more active and less stiff or not too business-like. Otherwise, they're going to get intimidated. Okay, so these are just some important tips. We can speak more about these kinds of things in our future webinars because, again, as Francis mentioned, we are launching our business series for Console Asia. We'll be discussing personality development, sales training, business writing, and all these topics that can help you make your webinars very, very successful. Now, it's also important to remember that when you are conducting a webinar, you are not just there delivering a message. You are also presenting an image. So it's important to remember that they see you, they see your face, they see your outfit, they see your background. That's why grooming is very important. Now, let's go to ladies first, okay? Ladies, sometimes we have long hair. Like I have long hair, relatively long hair. And if I don't tie my hair back like this, it's gonna fall on my face and I'm going to be constantly doing this to my hair, right? So when I speak of grooming, I'm not talking about looking like a celebrity. All I'm saying is prepare yourself in terms of grooming, where you do not get distracted by your hair or by some dangling earrings that are trying to make some unnecessary noise in the background, or you're wearing something plunging where you keep covering your chest. So grooming is very important. You have to wear something comfortable. Your hair should be pulled back, either in a half ponytail or in a ponytail. Or if that's not possible, and at least wear a clip or a hairpin so that your face does not distract, or your hair does not distract or cover your face. Okay? It's very, very important. Now, if you're wearing eyeglasses, the tendency is, because most presenters on cam would use a ring light or any sort of lighting that will make their face look brighter on camera. If you are wearing eyeglasses, please do not put your ring light or your lamp right in front of your face. It has to be positioned at least 45 degrees away from your face. So if you are facing like this, then your light should be either here or here. And that is enough to make your face look bright without causing the reflection on your eyeglasses. Okay? Because I have attended so many meetings, so many virtual meetings or webinars where the speaker, you can't really see their eyes anymore because the light is just, flashing back through his eyeglasses or her eyeglasses. Now, when it comes to makeup for women, it's very important to wear something very, very modest. Okay, we're not trying to look like a heavily made up presenter here. We just want to look like we are really professionally conducting a meeting or a webinar. Now, a lot of women are not very comfortable wearing red lipstick. All right, but what we always teach our clients and our audience, it's okay to wear red lipstick during a webinar, because when you're speaking, the focus is actually on your lips, right? And then to your eyes. So you have to make sure that the lips and the eyes are properly made up without being too overpowering or overbearing. Okay, now why is that so? Red is the color of power, okay, strength. So if you're conducting a webinar like that and you're wearing red lipstick, there's a psychological effect there that you are actually appearing more confident and more comfortable with your topic. So that actually adds up to the whole image, okay? Now, what else do they see, which is very, very important? Of course, it's body language. Remember, guys, in delivering a message, only 7% accounts for your words, all right? 38% accounts for the tone of your voice, and 55% is body language. So even if your content is very, very good, and even if you speak so well, but your body language is not supporting the message, then 55% goes to the bin. Now, what does this mean? For example, your facial expression. If you are saying something, if you're delivering something, it's good to speak as it's good to deliver it as if you're speaking to a person in front of you, instead of just sitting there, poker face, looking at the PowerPoint and start reading it, right? It's really not very engaging. People are going to get bored and they don't feel connected to you. So facial expression is very important. If you're sharing something exciting, look excited. If you're sharing something very serious, then you can go a little bit serious, but not necessarily sad. Because when you are sad, it affects the whole energy of the webinar. Now, what do I mean by sad? If you're serious, let's say right now, we are teaching you something about webinars, winning webinars. I can be serious about my material, but I don't have to look sad. Because if I'm sad, I'd look like this. Welcome to our webinars. Okay, so again, you don't want to look sad because then it's going to make your audience sad. Now, eye contact, the tendency is when we're presenting, we look at the screen. We are reading our presentation. If you look at the screen and read the presentation, this is going to be the effect. I'm actually looking down, right? So then, or if you're talking to the people in front of you, you're looking down. So then that does not create some sort of an eye contact experience with this presenter. So what is the tip? You can look at your PowerPoint briefly, okay, and then go back to the camera. So it looks like something like this. If I'm going to read what's on the screen right now, it's going to be like, so what do they see? Body language, facial expression, eye contact, posture, and hand gestures. So I'm just glancing. So guys, if you are presenting, whether as a trainer, as a consultant, as a salesperson, as a manager or a leader of a team, please practice that because you need to connect with your audience through eye contact. Okay? Posture. Posture is another issue because we have the tendency to slouch as we age, right? So we're sitting like this, shoulders drooping. And when your shoulders are drooping, your voice tends to get affected. You don't speak in a very energetic voice. You tend to be in a very, very sad voice. Listen to how it shifts, right? So if I'm going to say, good evening, everybody. My name is Tinette Cortez. But if I slouch, I'm going to sound something like, good evening, everybody. My name is Tinette Cortez. Welcome to our winning webinars session, right? Didn't that just affect my voice? Because the body supports the voice. And that's why you have to pull that back. Can you please do that with me? Some of you are probably having their dinners. Some of you are probably driving. I don't know. But just please try to pull back your shoulders. And then it uplifts your spirit and your mood. Very, very important. Okay. Plus, it does not look nice. It does not look nice on camera if you are slouching like this, especially if you are presenting from a position of authority. Okay. If you're a teacher, let's say a high school teacher, and you're like me, mid 40s. Ooh, I had to expose my age. Okay, but let's say you're in your mid 40s and you're a teacher and you're teaching high school students and you are slouching like that. Can you imagine what the students would feel? Oh, my teacher is so boring, right? And then they're not going to listen to you. Or let's say you're a manager or a team leader of a group of, professionals. Let's say you're a sales manager, right? And you're trying to motivate your team. And then here you are slouching like this, not establishing eye contact, reading some piece of paper on the side. Okay, so guys, our forecast for this is terrible. Okay, so again, remember this is your frame, right? This whole thing. Everything in that frame has to be done perfectly in terms of image, body language, posture, and even the hand gestures. Again, if this is your frame, stop using hand gestures that stretch out like that. Oh, yesterday, you can just limit it to this. So you can just say, and boom. And boom. So it's still within the frame. Okay, does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Okay. Also, drinking, for instance, there are different questions that have been asked, right? Is this ethical or is it proper for a presenter in a webinar to drink? Of course. Well, first of all, I'd like to qualify that. We can only drink water, okay? Juice, tea, coffee, or soda. In other words, non-alcoholic drinks. You are not going to be very, very polite to your audience if you are drinking wine or beer or tequila during a webinar like this. So there are some tips that we need to remember when drinking. Okay, so I have a glass of water here, and it's very important not to drink like this. Why? Because it's right straight on your face, right? So if I'm using my left hand, I need to move my body a little bit to the left, where my left hand is, where my glass is placed, and then, or my glass is being held, and then I can sip. Okay, that's actually just an excuse. Please do not do this using your left hand and then facing the right, because look how awkward that is. Your arm is just blocking the camera. So again, yes, you may drink, but then again, if you're presenting, please try to wait for a chance for you to at least finish the topic And then maybe if you're opening the session to questions, then maybe while people are asking questions, you can briefly take a sip. But right in the middle of the presentation, it might not be a good idea. So at least finish a certain topic, then you can take a quick sip. What about eating? Another question is, Tinette, is this a good thing, or is this an acceptable thing? 101% no. We may not eat during a webinar, whether it's chewing gum, whether it's candies, biscuits, where's food, like a meal, a full meal, right? Please, if your audience, if anyone in the audience is eating, again, it might be good, especially if you're conducting a meeting with your team at work. It might be good to put it as a guideline that please, guys, no eating during the webinar, because then it violates the whole professional atmosphere of the meeting. Okay, so just as a reminder, even if you're working from home, it does not mean that you have to look like you're in your pajamas. Okay, very, very important. So again, some of the reminders, image enhancement during webinars. How do people see you, right? Do they see you as a lazy presenter? Are we slouching like this? Are we in our bedroom when we're conducting our meetings? Do they see the headboard? Do they see our cabinets? Or do they see the kitchen? Do they see the washing machine? Definitely big no-no. If you are conducting a webinar, there are no excuses. You can only stay in your living room or in your home study or any corner. If your house is very small, that's fine. You can just find a corner and a blank white wall. That's absolutely fine. But please do not expose your refrigerator, your unwashed dishes, or even if they're washed, right? Not professional. Then what do people remember about you? Do they remember somebody who is very engaging, or do they remember somebody who is quite boring, right? So again, you have to remember your way of conducting your webinar affects what people remember about you. What do people hear from you? Do they hear things that have already been taught before? Do they hear things that are not even relevant to the times, right? If we're just Googling stuff and we're not putting our own insights or our own, additional ideas, then it might not be very, very good or relevant to them. In fact, I would recommend that you can even add more stories to your presentations. Like you can share your own experience. Now, another thing would be, how do people feel when they connect with you? Do they feel like they're connected or really disconnected? Do they feel powerful? Are you empowering them or are you intimidating them? So again, that also speaks about your grooming and your the way you're presenting yourself. So again, if you're talking to, let's say, a group of women, right? If that's your audience, then you have to be a little bit more, let's say, even if you're a man and you're speaking to a group of women, you don't have to be too stiff. You can still be very engaging, but you also have to, again, present yourself very professionally. Okay. And then, of course, what do people learn from you? Are there key takeaways after your talk? Or are you just rambling around, making a lot of ad libs, right? So again, these are the things that we need to ask ourselves. And lastly, why do people love and follow you? So again, whether you're an influencer, whether you're a manager or a team leader or a business owner, whether you're a teacher, a salesperson, it does not matter. You would want your audience to love you and follow you and at least feel that they've gained something insightful from you. So these are just some of the tips in terms of your image in a webinar. So with that, thank you very much. And if you have questions, ladies and gentlemen, please feel free to type them in the comment section and we will all read them after everybody has finished presenting.
Good afternoon, Jessie, and to my fellow panelists. So in Consult Asia, we do 100% face-to-face training workshops with our clients. And we do this either through in-house workshops or public workshops in a public venue. And of course, during the pandemic, we were really thrown into the unknown. we were not prepared for this, and so we had to move fast to transition to digital learning, which is not our expertise really. So it was a bit of a challenge for us to move to this platform, because we had to learn the technology, we had to learn how to facilitate the workshops effectively, because the skills needed to facilitate the workshops digitally are absolutely different from that of doing it face to face. Also, we were very much concerned with developing the content, because again, the way that we present our course outlines and our programs were very different back then. Whenever we would reach out to our clients, we have a certain way of presenting our training programs. Whereas now, there's so much content out in the internet where people have so much options. How do you set yourselves apart? Yourself apart from everyone else. And then, of course, we had to learn how to market our programs effectively. So we had to move fast. And I personally had to engage the whole team in coming up with a solution for this one. So it's really the face-to-face, the transition from face-to-face to digital training. Number two, most of our training programs are, we run them for 1 to 2 days at a time. So it's like an 8-hour program or a 16-hour program. That's face-to-face, because then you get coffee breaks, you get activities, you do some games, you have a lot of interaction. How do you do this in the digital world? People have very limited attention span when they're seated in front of the computer or using their phones. So it's very important for us to come up with concise sessions and properly schedule these sessions with our clients, and to make sure that the way we facilitate these programs will keep the attention and the energy of the participants. Based on my personal experience, when I run my programs, it's always high energy. I get everybody involved. I move closer to the participants. But how do you actually do that in the online or digital world?
Yes,
So it's
yes, yes.
very challenging. The third one is, Consult Asia is known for soft skills training. So we teach customer service, we teach personality development, we teach leadership. So in the past, we would normally run webinars for technical training, probably if we're teaching some sort of a hard skill. But now, how do you actually transfer the skill of leadership online? So that is a bit challenging as well, because now we need to focus not only the skills, but also the mindset of the people. How do we actually touch their mindset and build the strength, the mental muscles of your audience? Because during the pandemic, people are getting anxious, people are getting upset, frustrated, disappointed, and even hopeless with what's going to happen in the future. And so part of our efforts as a training company is to make sure that we embed values and paradigm shift principles to help our audience cope with the new normal. And lastly, and which is the most, I think, challenging in our industry, is that most of our clients have already slashed off their training budgets for the rest of the year, because I don't know.
That's true. That's
And I
true.
know, Jesse, you know this because you're in the training industry,
Yep.
you're in the training business. When we speak to clients, they always have budget for marketing, they have budget for equipment upgrade, they have budget for a nice office, but they always slash off the training budget because they think that it's more of an expense. And they have this mindset where they say, okay, well, I'm not going to invest in this person just yet because he might resign. So this is again another challenge. How do we convince our clients that this is not supposed to be the case? This is the best time to actually involve and engage our
Yes.
employees and plug them into learning programs such as what we offer in the training industry. So these are just some of the challenges and the big changes that we are going through. But I'm just very, very lucky and blessed to have a fantastic team behind me. I mean, Consult Asia team, they're all watching right now. I mean, from all over the world. And I'm just really grateful and proud of my team. So I'm excited. Despite all these challenges, I'm very excited and optimistic about the future. So Okay, so companies these days, especially with the new normal, should no longer perceive training as a separate event or activity. Rather, it should be integrated into their organizational culture. In fact, I would recommend that it should be integrated into the lifestyle. It should be a lifestyle of the individuals working in an organization. So this means each entrepreneur or a business leader will have to up his training skills and invest in themselves to be able to echo effectively to his team. Number two, each employee will have to have access to on-the-go learning or flexibility, in terms of learning and information and skills upgrade. We cannot wait for a certain period of time before they can again learn something new, but rather it has to be part of their lifestyle.
Right.
And number three, it's very important for each company to have a constant professional training partner who will constantly help them identify the gaps of every individual and every team and maybe the organization in the bigger scheme of things of that industry. So it's very important that we partner up with a reputable training organization who can help us develop learning solutions. So this is, I guess, my message. Each business will have to integrate training into their culture and not as a separate, and not consider it as a separate event or an activity as a way to escape their daily tasks or to get free food as what's it's always been in the past, right? So with that, I really hope that all businesses will be able to cope and thrive, if not even do better after this pandemic is over. Jesse, in our organization, in Consult Asia, every person, because we're not a very big company, but every person that works at Consult Asia has unquestionable character and principles. This is really number one. Integrity is our core value, and anybody who challenges that really has no place in the organization. Somebody has to be really clean when it comes to values. Number two, everybody, the A team is each of the members of the A team is a problem solver, not a problem creator. So when there's something going on in the organization, everybody is able to suggest a solution. He or she does his research on the problem and a possible solution. So this is very important for an A team, that we're always solution oriented. Number three, it's very important that the A team creates a positive impact on different aspects of the business. Say, for example, the reputation, because this person can be skillful, this person can have the best credentials, graduated from the best schools, but if he's not good for the reputation of the organization, then no. Again, this is not going to be part of our A team. This person also has to have a positive impact on the customer experience of Consult Asia. He or she will have to be able to deal with our customers in a very engaging manner, in a very helpful manner, or let's put it this way, a world-class individual. Because we teach customer service. So this is very important that the A team or the employee looks at the customer as his own customer, not just the company's customer. Also, our A team creates a positive impact on the profitability of the organization. If they do not have the heart to help the company become profitable, then again, that's another aspect that we are very sensitive about. So the A team has to be able to create value for the whole organization. The responsibility of the leader is really to be able to find these people or help these people believe in your vision, be willing to fulfill the mission, and share your values. I think these are just very basic. It all goes back to the basic. Whether it's a company with 2 employees or 100 employees, it doesn't matter. What matters is, what culture have you actually built? And culture is basically just the collective behaviors and attitudes of the individuals in that organization. So then when new people start coming in, new people start joining the organization, they would already have a very thorough grasp of how they should conduct themselves and how they should contribute to the growth of the organization. So I think this is really the most important. It goes back to you, rebrand yourself, do some reflective activity, think of what you can possibly solve in this global landscape.
Rebrand, yes.
What problem are you solving, and what skills do you have, or what values or unique stuff you have inside you that can possibly make an impact to this world? And I think a lot of people would always ask me this, but Tinette, when I'm on the internet, I see a lot of other businesses, in the same industry. And I'm telling them, well, I ask them, do they have the same story as yours? Maybe not. I mean, you're unique. You have to leverage on that. You have to use your own story, brand that, repackage that into a brand that actually solves critical problems in this world. And I think this is the first thing that people need to do, instead of getting drowned in the operational stuff or marketing or whatever, because the marketing stuff will just be anchored on that particular value, and branding is just basically creating or communicating your value to the world. So that's actually going to be the first step that I would recommend.